Hello and welcome to the Boss Life podcast. You guys, today I am fired up. I stumbled across this guy on Instagram and I went down the rabbit hole of his funnel, and I am so fired up that I did because you guys, this is epic. As you guys know, I've been in real estate for many years. I started investing in 2008 and I've had a ton of success in the investing arena. But a couple years ago, I started really dialing into transactions, and this guy has done it right. You could say that he was a complete overnight success, but he has paved the way and put so many sweat, blood, and tears in his former life to really get to where he is today. So I'm going to read his bio because it is legit on another level. It's short, concise, to the point, but he gets results. So Levi Lascsak released his first YouTube video on December 5th of 2020. As a brand new real estate agent, he had not sold a home in 2020 or even the first quarter of 2021. Levi partnered with Plumb and they closed their first 2 transactions from their YouTube channel in April of 2021. Over the next year, they generated 164 transactions. Get this, guys, 90 million in production and 2.7 million in commissions with 0 ad spend from the channel. They now own the fastest growing and most viewed real estate YouTube channel in Dallas, Texas, and generate 3 to 5 inbound leads per day. So Levi, thank you for jumping on the podcast. I am so excited about this.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, happy to be here.
Well, let's actually get started from just the get-go. You didn't get started in real estate all that long ago, and you just totally came out of left field. So tell me, what was that instigator of what made you really want to drive in real estate?
Well, actually, I never wanted to drive in real
No,
estate.
that's true. That's true.
I was a reluctant participant. So it was my good friend, Michael Reese, and we've been friends for over 20 years. And we actually sold gym memberships together at Bally Total Fitness before he got into real estate. And so I remember the weekend he went to the lake and met Jay Kinder and came back to Bally's the next Monday and was like, I'm getting into real estate. And so because of that meeting he had with Jay Kinder, and he wanted me to get in back then in 2002. And I was kind of like, I'm all right. Never aspired to be a real estate agent. And so clearly I've watched his journey over all these years and just gone my own path, but we've remained friends and in contact and everything like that. And so, what happened was I had a financial services business where I worked with all of the teachers at Dallas ISD on their retirement planning. So during 2020, all the schools shut down. Seriously? And that's a business I'd been building up over the last 5 years. And it was my third major setback in my life that really kind of took me back to zero. So imagine your business shuts down in the middle of 2020. I mean, first of all, I'm not going to get a job because I refuse to get a job. However, who was hiring in 2020 anyways, right? 30 million layoffs. So that wasn't even a backup plan. Like, oh, should I go get a job? And, but then it was, okay, well, nobody's looking to invest right at that moment. I couldn't get on campus. I had all my meetings with teachers on the campus. Schools are shut down. They're actually coming to me. How did they take money out of their retirement accounts? Right. And so I just thought, and I was thinking about a pivot anyways, but I thought at the same time, well, what do I do? Because I was 41 years old at that time as well. And I thought, how do I start over without starting over? That's what my biggest fear was at that moment, was being 41, thinking, did this really just happen? Wow. Am I really back to square one again? I mean, I started to ask myself, how did I get in this position? What led me down this path? Where did I go wrong? That's what I felt like. I thought I had failed and significantly, right? Because I let an outside force come in and shut down my business. So, during that time, here comes Michael Reese again, still trying to get me into real estate. And he's like, hey man, I'm telling you, now's the best time to get into real estate. And of course I sat there and watched real estate grow over the summer of 2020, but that's what happened. So I stepped back over the summer of 2020 to reevaluate my life,
Right.
and I had to ask myself very tough questions, which was, how did you get yourself into this position? How do you not go down this path ever again?
Hmm.
How do you build a business that's bigger than yourself so that I'm not the deciding factor? Where did I go wrong in my life before?
For
And
sure.
out of those three major setbacks, what I realized was that I never scaled myself properly. I was always in that mentality of, if I want it done right, I've got to do it myself. I'm a major driver, which
Yeah.
means I'm type A, and I can run fast. And the old saying is, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go with a team, right?
Yeah.
And so I was always going fast by myself.
Totally.
And so, and then Michael said, and the thing is I didn't want to get into real estate, but then Michael's like, well, look, it's not the best real estate agent that wins, it's the best marketer. And so I knew from that standpoint as well, if I do make this transition and make a move, I need a marketing plan. I need to figure out how am I going to generate business? Because what he showed me in real estate, being positioned with EXP, was that I understood the model. So the business model was attractive to me. It was the being a real estate agent that wasn't. So,
right.
However,
in the same boat.
Yeah, I thought, but if I'm going to take part in the business model and help other agents grow their businesses and bring them into EXP as well, I felt like I just needed some sort of credibility and
Absolutely.
some sort of experience. So it didn't feel right to me to just try to turn into a recruiter, really was what it was.
Completely.
And that's what, and no fault of Michael's, but Michael's like, Levi, you are more than capable of just attracting people to the business. And I think you can do that 100%. And I agreed with him because I believe I'm capable of doing anything, but it was just something in my gut that didn't sit well with me to say, I just said, you know what, I feel like if I'm really going to provide this opportunity to people, I need to be able to, help them with their production in some sort of way as well. So if I can develop a method or to attract business, is there a way to do that? Because I love the movie The Boiler Room, but I'm not 20 years old anymore. And the thing is Michael and I, at Bally's, I started my sales career there. We used to make phone calls 10 hours a day. The whole goal was to get 5 appointments for the next day. And we worked 12-hour shifts. It was 10 to 10. So we worked 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And now we couldn't call after 8 p.m., but still those first 10 hours of your shift, the whole goal was to make phone calls to get 5 people to come into the gym the next day. And you couldn't stop calling unless you did that. And if you booked 5 appointments the next day, guess what? You needed to fill up the day afterwards. So Lord. It was a never ending cycle. And I was just like, I'm not going to be in that. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
I could do it, but I didn't want to do it. And I was like, I don't want to cold call, door knock. I don't want to shake hands. I don't want to kiss babies. Plus that was, in the middle of 2020 anyway. So shaking hands and kissing babies was still a little taboo at the moment. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to go out and pass out my business cards at networking events and things like that. So how do I build a business from scratch where nobody knows me? I'm competing with all the top agents in Dallas, established brands, established brokers. Where do you even get your foot in the door? Those were all the questions that I waited and asked myself, and then figured out, how do I do this before? So it was like I developed a plan and then got into real estate versus getting into real estate and then trying to develop a plan, right? And so for me, it was just like, okay, I knew the fastest way to do it would be social media, of course, and the least expensive. So, but again, everyone in 2020 was talking about Facebook, Instagram, and mainly TikTok. For sure. Because every real estate agent was waking up to 10,000 followers on TikTok. Everyone was like, oh, I woke up this morning, I had 10,000 followers, But
what's the conversion?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was like, well, how much business did that get you? And everyone was like, well, I got 10,000 followers. Yeah, exactly. I never got that anywhere on any other platform, And so I was like, all right, well, let me look at those platforms and dig in a little bit more into Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. None of them really set well with my gut either. Didn't fit my personality. And I thought, I just was unsure about that. And so from there, I stumbled upon YouTube because I asked myself, okay, what are the top people? I looked at EXP and said, okay, what are the top attractors doing there? What are they doing? And we kind of talked about this offline, which I noticed the top attractors all had YouTube channels. Completely. And so not that they're doing everything from there, but to me, it was an established brand. It was an established opportunity or a place. And then whenever I started to dig into YouTube and I figured out it was a search engine, not a social media platform, then I was like, oh, there might be an opportunity here to create content especially on Dallas, because the thing is I didn't know how to be a good real estate agent.
Sure.
I knew zero about
Sure.
being a real estate agent. And I think that's why the other platforms didn't sit well with me, because it was agents on there that have been agents for 5, 10, 15 years.
Sure.
Telling their short stories, their
Yeah.
experiences,
Yeah.
giving education on mortgages and title
Makes
and
total
how to do
sense.
this. And I was like, well, how can I mean, I could read, what does the title process look
Totally.
like, or what is a VA loan? But I just didn't feel authentic about saying,
Yeah.
well, here's the best way to get a VA loan, even though I had never helped anybody get a VA loan.
Totally.
So that's why I think those other platforms didn't sit well with me. But then whenever I found YouTube and I thought, oh, I can create content about Dallas, which I've lived in Dallas for 20 years and I know
Right.
Dallas, and I can be the expert on Dallas versus trying to be an expert real estate agent. Then I thought there might be something there. That's something I could do. I could create video. And then also I saw video as the opportunity to scale myself,
Mhm.
to passively prospect.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I wanted to do was actively prospect.
Yeah.
And I love sales, been in sales for 20
For
years.
sure.
But I always hated prospecting
Yes.
because I felt like I spent 90% of my time
100%.
prospecting
Yeah.
and 10% of my time actually talking to people about the product or service so that I, was excited to talk to them about.
Yeah.
So, those were the types of things that I was looking at and really attracted, that way to do business and found it. I mean, I went down a lot of rabbit holes. Now, here's the
Mhm.
other thing. Over 2020, I also spent the most money I've ever spent before on education,
Mhm.
courses, mentorships, and masterminds
Yeah.
because I was actually looking for a way not to become a real estate agent. So that's the other part of spending the time over 2020 is I went all in. Everything I had, I said, I'm going all in.
Wow.
I invested in a couple of Amazon stores, again, mentorships, courses, things
Sure.
like that. I was looking at getting into wholesaling, and again,
Oh,
because I
I
was,
had my stand on
yeah,
that.
I was like, I wanted
Don't go down that.
yeah. I mean, I've done investment before.
Yeah.
I've done fix and flips. I've had rentals, Airbnb, all as a part timer.
Yeah.
I do 1 or 2 per year, not a
sure.
big deal. I had 7 rentals the most at one time,
Okay.
and but it was to me that also seemed like just not a route that I wanted to go right then there
Mhm.
as well. But other than that, is really developing the plan, then moving into real estate, what it comes down to. But so that's how, whenever I understood a way that I could attract business, possibly. Plus, whenever I looked on YouTube, like there was hardly anybody on YouTube
Yeah.
in Dallas.
Yeah.
And I think that's still the case across the country, no matter what market you're in. And it's funny because people look at YouTube and say, well, there's an agent on YouTube already. Like that one agent is going to dominate and do all the thousands of transactions in your marketplace.
Totally.
And so I saw there was a gap.
Yeah.
I saw there was a gap. Only a couple of agents in Dallas making some videos. And whenever I really started to dig into YouTube, I could tell that those agents had not done due diligence on YouTube. And the thing is that these platforms can be very powerful.
Mhm.
And if you understand the platforms from a producer side versus a consumer side, then they're going to take you much further.
Yeah.
And the thing is if you're like me, at that 40-year-old age range and above, we all have this love-hate relationship with social media
Yeah.
because we didn't grow up with it.
Yep.
It wasn't there in high school.
Yep.
It probably wasn't there in college. Maybe it came around when you got your first job or started your real estate career. And you still didn't like it at that time. You're like,
Totally.
oh, it's just people posting their lunch and silly cat videos,
And
and
all the
everyone's
selfies.
and everyone's bragging, right?
Yep,
It's just everyone's bragging. It's all the kids bragging, and then we go, okay, well now we watch the 20 and 30-year-olds start making money,
Mhm.
and we're going, okay, well, man, they did that pretty easy, right? They seems like they did that a lot easier than me cold calling and door knocking, and
Yeah.
so that was the thing is that I understood that, but again, because I was pushed towards Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, because that's what a lot of agents were trying
Yeah.
to do. Again, like you said, conversion, right?
Yep.
I didn't hear or speak with a lot of people doing very, very high conversions.
Totally.
Definitely, I know some people doing business from those platforms, but converting at a very high level. So,
Yeah.
it was one of those things where, and then again, looking at the top attractors, that's where I noticed that they had YouTube channels, and it made sense where people could go and consume
Mhm.
long form content, and people develop relationships once they start
Absolutely.
consuming a lot of content. And so from there, it was all just a cascade of events
Yeah.
that just led me down that path. But then I decided, okay, YouTube, I think, is the platform. And the other aspect is I wanted to go all in on one platform.
Sure.
I wanted to find the platform because I
Yeah.
didn't want to put 20% effort into 5 different platforms.
Totally.
And I don't believe in be everywhere all the time. I believe in finding one lane and going deep as possible in that one lane. And
well, I think the cool thing with you is that, yes, you have just become like a complete mogul, an icon within the YouTube platform, but then you have a team that is putting that content in a number of different places, which I think is that repurposing is everything.
Yeah.
Because then you can collect business from a number of different places, but you have your one thing. You know, when I got started in real estate, I had been building my platform of Facebook and Instagram for years and years with my prior business. So I had the know, like, and trust. I had the credibility. And so I had really awesome conversion from those platforms. But the thing that I didn't have going for me, which you do have going for you, is that yours was sustainable long term. And I had just seen even on your Instagram saying that you're having even your YouTube shorts pop up randomly and the content isn't dead. The difference is it's a search engine optimization. Like, it's a platform where people are searching for things and then they find those things, and it's evergreen, which if you're looking to leverage your time and you're looking to work smart, that is the platform all the way.
Right.
Which I think is just, that's genius.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other aspect for your own sanity, right? Is
Right?
that Facebook, Instagram, TikTok they're interruption platforms, first of all, which means the last time I checked, nobody says, "Hey honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go on Facebook and see what's on the market." Hey honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go to Instagram and see if we can find a really cool agent posting market reports. Or, hey honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go on TikTok and see if we can find the best dancing real estate agent. So people don't necessarily go to those platforms to search for real estate. Now, they may come across a real estate agent on that platform that they like, but they could not be in the market for the next 24, 36 months, if that. So, you know, where's the true value in that? Yes, you are building a brand and establishing a presence over time. But the thing is that people go to YouTube with intention.
Yes.
And our average contact to under contract is 47 days.
That's insane.
Which that means people are intentional. They're going there searching for that information.
Yeah.
So for that, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where the evergreen content, that's what scales yourself, and it works for you constantly. So even the stats right now, first of all, organic Facebook gets less than 5% of your audience. If you post anything, it reaches less than 5% of your audience, first of all. Second of all, because we're writing a book, Passive Prospecting.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. You know, we've done some of this research, and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, all of that content dies out within 48 hours unless it goes viral, you know, and then and viral can mean different things for different people.
Totally.
That could be 1,000 views. It could be 10,000. It could be 100,000. It could be 1 million, you know? So we always consider mini viral, you know, like 10 to 20,000 views or something. And so, but again, once that dies, it dies off. And I've seen this on my own content on those platforms. Now, here's the thing is we also say real estate agents produce 100 pieces of content a day, maybe more. It's just your choice whether you document it or not.
For sure.
So like right now, we're filming this with you, and this will become probably 50 different reels for us.
That's amazing.
You know, and it could be the same for you as well.
Absolutely.
So just documenting this aspect. If you look at my calendar today, I have 4 partner calls. I have a webinar. I have 2 other calls that I'll be doing. All of it gets recorded. Everything I do gets recorded because we will use all of that content for reels. And that's what feeds Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok and LinkedIn for all the short form platforms because I don't have to make specific content for those platforms. I do enough in my life, you know, talking with people, coaching, running calls, having conversations, podcasts, things like that. And we just document everything. So, and it's simple as, this is something we talked about at our session last week when we spoke at EXP Con, was that any agent can do this. So, and you have to find your superpower. You know, our superpower is helping agents with YouTube. Yeah. You know, if YouTube is not your thing, that's okay. If you're the best cold caller, well, set up a phone right next to you, vertical format, and record all your phone calls. Now, the thing is that you could make calls for 2 or 3 hours a day. Doesn't mean you're going to use 2 or 3 hours of content. It means that any editor can go in there and chop out 30 and 60-second clips of you making a really good point. And then you could probably have 50 clips a day of shorts and reels and TikToks, just from what you're doing. On top of that, what if after every call you paused and you looked at that camera eye contact and you said, okay, here's what happened on that call. And if you broke it down and even coached yourself of what you did right, what you did wrong, what you should have said, what you said correctly, or next time if somebody says that, I'm going to say this, or notice whenever they said that, how they pivot. And so if you just have that phone sitting right next to you vertically, you could do that as well. Or you could have it horizontal as well if you wanted to make long form content. And then you take notes. Okay, I made 50 calls today. I talked to 10 people. Here's what happened on all those conversations. Boom, 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 boom. Here's all the concerns, objections, whatever I got. Here's how I overcame them. Right there in one day, you could have not only 50 pieces of content, you could have a long form video as well.
That's genius.
And you could have notes, on top of that to actually start working on a document of a closing, closings or, overcoming objections, and that's stuff that you can pass on to somebody else.
Completely.
And so if you ever want to build your team, and it doesn't have to be with EXP, you can be at any brokerage, you can be in any business, because, our book, Passive Prospecting, is going to be the business concept and how what we've done, any small business can do.
Yeah.
And you can do this as an agent, or if you're an entrepreneur, investor, doesn't matter. If you're an investor, I think you're at the biggest advantage because investment reaches a whole broader audience than a real estate agent does. And if you're out on site every day, looking at homes, sourcing homes, researching homes, rehabbing homes,
right?
Document it. I mean, how easy is that if you're working on 2 or 3 projects, to take a selfie stick and your iPhone out there and say, okay, I'm on this project. And what you do is you can document that daily. And then once you complete that flip over 30, 60 days, then you have a before and after video.
Yeah.
And but because you've documented everything up to that point, the footage is already there to complete the before and after video, which will probably get the most amount of views, from a standpoint of, like, you look on YouTube and you post a rehab video. Think about it. Why does HGTV come out with 1,000 rehab shows every year? Because people love that. They love the before and after. They love the struggle. They love the story. And so I think investors are at the biggest advantage of right now in content creation.
So powerful.
They already have it. It's just it's just your choice whether you want to document it or not.
So let's say you are talking to a real estate agent that is brand new and they want to really dial into the investing space. They want to dial into social media. What would be your first couple of steps? And that would be my first question. And then also, how do they find someone to put all those things together for social media, or do they try to tackle that themselves?
Well, if they want to be on YouTube, I would say buy our course.
Yeah, absolutely. And can I just tell you guys, shout out to Levi and Travis, because I'm telling you, like, when I actually jumped on their webinar and the ins and outs, and you do really break it down. And that's so great, because I think a lot of times as a newbie in real estate, you're already overwhelmed by all the crazy, let alone trying to put together content, trying to put together, optimizing it on YouTube. It's a lot. Yeah. So how do you break it down to get to, your end goal?
Well, let me give you 2 formulas for success.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And these have served me across 4 different industries, and which is who's at the top, what are they doing, how did they get there, how can you model that, how can you adjust it to fit your personality, and then how can you do better than them?
Obsessed.
Okay, so that's number 1. However, before you do that, you got to take the step before that, which is determine, are you a people person? Are you a phone call person? Are you a reader and a writer? Or are you a video person?
Sure.
Because the thing is that a lot of people look at what we do on YouTube and they're like, well, I want to do that, but I hate video. I can't get on camera. Well, okay, you got 2 choices. Either you force yourself and hate life doing that, and maybe you get over it, which I believe you can do that. Or you say, you know what, maybe video's not for me.
Yeah.
And I actually did this survey in our breakout room there at the conference last week. We had 300 people in the room.
Sure.
And I got about a 30-10 split, which I was like, who's a people person?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Who's so 30% were like, I'm a people person. Okay. 30% were, I'm a phone call person. 30% where I'm a video, 10% where like I'm a reader and a writer,
Sure.
because I was like, look, if you're in a reader and a writer type of person, like you just love to write.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you write the best email campaigns for your
Right.
sphere of influence and start building your email list. And that's how you market to people and sell people, by actually taking time, sitting down and writing out a series of events of emails and because email marketing is very powerful.
Yeah.
Maybe you come up with the best postcard campaign ever on the planet, because if you're a people person, maybe you become the best open house person because you want to just hang out and let people come in the door, and you get to talk to them and interact with them and shake their hands. And so maybe that's you, so maybe video is not your thing, but I think you need to determine, what style of can you deal with people. Some people are like, I never want to meet people, but I could call them all day long.
Sure.
And that people person was like, I would die if I had to be on the phones.
Yeah.
So don't force yourself down this path unless you have an end goal of like, I want to do video, because I believe video is the ultimate way to scale yourself, because again, those videos right now, I could pull up my app and show you that, and show you how many people are watching the channel right this second.
Wow.
And that's what I love, is because anytime I do this, on average, it's, like 150 people. And we'll just use that number. My channel right now is prospecting to 150 people while I'm doing this podcast. When we're at the conference last week, we were getting all those, and that's 150 per hour.
Oh my gosh.
That's per hour. So you think about this. I just looked at it, and we got, you can see, I'll show you the app. We've gotten almost 6,000 people in the last 2 days have viewed the channel. Now they viewed it on their terms. Right. And so that's the thing, is that if I click on here, I could show you, and it's, what are we, 9:54 in the morning? What does that say? 108 people, right?
Oh my gosh.
So right now at 9:54 in the morning, when everyone else is going, is it too early to call? Should I call?
Right.
Nobody's home. I can't knock on doors. What am I? They're questioning. I'm like, well, our people are going to our channel and watching videos on their terms, on their timeline. And yes, there's actually 108 people at this time in the morning that are researching real estate.
Yeah.
And we're reaching them, and I'm doing something completely different.
Yeah.
Now that you can't do, phone call is 1-to-1. You can only talk to one person at one time, and you can only talk to so many people in an hour. And if you talk and you do that for 3 hours, the second you stop, your lead generation stops.
Yeah.
And so that's why I believe video is the best thing you can do for your business, for yourself, and for your relationships, especially your family and your spouse and everything else. Because why do agents get accused of never being present and not having a good time? Because when they're on vacation, when they're spending time with the family, when they're off on the weekends,
been there, done that.
they're worried about not generating business. They're like, I should be working. I should be doing something. I don't have the closings I want to have this month. And so I should be out doing something. I need to be busy. They feel bad about it. And yet, I wake up and there's been, 1,000 people watch our channel overnight,
100%.
Like, oh, I just prospected to 1,000 people while I was asleep. And that's people in the UK. We've helped people move from Japan, from Australia, 2 people from Australia, from South Africa, from the UK, from Canada, and everywhere from out of state. Why? Because our channel is global as well.
Wow.
And when it's 2 a.m. here, it's 5 p.m. in Japan. And that's when somebody's off there, and even a soldier. And if you live anywhere near a military base, you absolutely should be on YouTube, because guess what? They get transferred all over the world. And if you live in Kentucky and you live near the base, you should be on YouTube, because guess what? Soldiers get transferred there every single month, and they've never lived there, never been there. They're in their 20s and 30s. And where do you think they start researching? They start researching on YouTube. They're like, oh, I'm about to get shipped off to Kentucky. Never been there. What's there? I don't know. And then what do? They go on YouTube and they start searching. They don't say,
so powerful.
Oh, they don't say, let's find the best real estate agent in Kentucky. That's nobody's first thought. They're like, let's start researching Kentucky, and what's around Fort Campbell? What, how does this work? Blah, blah, blah. How do I move from Japan to Fort Camp? So those are all video topics. Those are all opportunities.
Yep.
And also, if you're anywhere in the South, Southeast, anywhere that's conservative right now, and people are moving to your state, you got a huge opportunity right there as well.
Absolutely.
And the thing is what I love about the out of state clients is that we don't compete with other agents because they don't know another agent here.
Exactly.
You're marketing in your own backyard. Everybody knows 10 real estate agents, and half of them are your family members.
Nope. I've definitely experienced that same thing. Like, I don't compete because I'm in the Airbnb arena. And so it's like a lot of my people know their people, and it's all through social media. They're not looking for the, best Airbnb expert because, it's social media. They know that person. I just think the way that you've built is so, so smart. And when you look at like a crowd, even at EXP Con, and you look at those 4 different demographics, like, hey, you've got the writers, you've got the people that are the people persons, and, those different people, I would even encourage them, even if it isn't maybe your zone of genius, because we all have our zone of genius. We can all lean into that and we can absolutely skyrocket. But I would even encourage some of those people that are maybe those people person, but maybe don't feel so comfortable on video. What do you ultimately want to do long term? Do you want to keep trading the one-on-one, type of an experience? Because at the end of the day, I even remember my dad telling me early on, he's like, Steph, you can be, because I'm naturally introverted. And he taught me, he's like, Steph, I want you to put yourself out there. And as much as I didn't want to, he said, you can be shy and poor, or you can be outgoing and wealthy. And I was like, okay, let's try that. And I have become the more extrovert. I always joke, like, I'm an extroverted introvert. I've put myself out there. Am I comfortable on video? Not necessarily, but I do it because I know the end game. I know that I can make a difference in so many more people's lives because I put myself out there. So to really keep that in mind for those people that maybe aren't feeling so comfortable on video, it's bigger than you. Think about what your ultimate vision is and the lives that you can change, and get out of your own way, because we can be good on video. It's just going to take some time. So way to just get out of your own way. I don't know. Did you feel super comfortable on camera from the get-go?
I did.
See, that's awesome. That is not the majority of the population.
Well, here's the deal. If you're an introvert, you should absolutely be on video, because if you build the business the way I did, I mean, I've only sold one house. So I got out of production after one house. So now going back to that credibility standpoint, even though I only sold one house myself, and what's funny about that is that person emailed, or they sent me a text message. And they said, can you get this house under contract? And it was a brand new construction.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
With the exact address. It was the first deal from the channel, the first deal that we got under contract. And they sent me a text message with the specific address. It was a brand new build. And so all I did was reach out to the builder. They sent them the contract. So I didn't even write the contract on it.
I can't.
And then after that, Travis took over. So the thing is that I don't interact with the clients at all. I create the videos. They come in. Half of the time they say, oh, well, I want to speak to Levi. And whoever answers the phone says, well, Levi's out filming right now. How can we help you? And they're like, oh, okay, well. And then they just
make that transition.
Yeah, they just start talking. The thing is we've never had a single issue with it. Nobody's ever said, I will not work with you because I can't work with Levi. So,
well, and I think you set that intention, from the get-go. Because even for me, when I was doing, like, on the way to hitting Icon, a lot of times what I would say is, well, my executive assistant, this is how it works. I'll set you up on a 3-way text. She will set up the search. She will bring you on the showings, and then if you need anything, I'm here to help, and I'll definitely help you from a negotiation standpoint. And it was like, oh, this is just the way that it is. And as long as you set that from the get-go, it's amazing how that works.
Well, and that wasn't the plan. So I don't want people to think that, although my intention was never to be a part of the transactions, getting into real estate. But so I was looking for a partner from the beginning. Travis happened to come along with, divine intervention and perfect timing. But that first transaction, we had just started to kind of work together at that time. And so that's why I was prepared to do the transactions. Didn't want to, but I got that first one. Whenever the second one came in, we happened to be hanging out together, and he's like, hey dude, let me take it. I'll take it, handle it, boom, boom, boom. And I thought, you know what? give it to him 50-50
Yeah.
split, and which he was cool with. And I was like, let's see how this works. And so
Talk about a win-win.
yeah. And because Travis, what he said to me was, he was like, I want to sell 100 homes. Like
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah.
like he wanted to do the transaction side. He didn't want to
Totally.
do any marketing,
Sure.
and he actually hates the camera.
That's hilarious.
And
well,
so
there once
yeah.
again,
And
figure out what you're amazing at and find those partners around you
Yep.
that can really complement who you are.
Yep. And that's why in videos, I always mention Travis,
Yeah.
by name. I mention the team as well, because we
that.
position the videos so people know when they hear me say that every single video, they know I've got a partner and they know we've got a team. And so they're really just happy to be working with the team.
You're setting
They
the
find so
stage.
much value in the videos
For sure.
that they feel like they're working with the team.
Love
and
that.
so, and we did actually 2 or 3 weeks ago, we did our first client appreciation event. Actually, it was our second client event. But here's what's funny. The first client appreciation event we did in the spring.
Yeah.
We were coming back from Vegas from a conference, and our flight got canceled.
Oh,
and then, we were leaving at 8 a.m. in the morning. The event was at 5 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh yeah, no problem. And the flight got canceled. We couldn't get on a flight until 4 p.m. So we missed our first client appreciation event.
I'm sure that wasn't interesting.
Well, the team was there. The team was
So it
there.
worked out.
Yeah. And they were able to, they pinch hit for us there. So that was awesome. But then, so we had our second event, finally, our second first event. Yeah. Something like that.
Okay.
Where we actually showed up. It's funny because, of course, everybody came up to me and they're like, hey, so great to finally meet you.
That's hilarious.
Your team members took such great care of. Cool. I mean, it was nothing but positive feedback, and it was really cool. And it also, it kind of, I mean, I never intended for this, but you're in a position to where you're in an authority position, And so I think people look up to that even a little bit more, than just seeing your ad in a magazine.
For sure.
I mean,
for sure. Love that.
I don't know of a lot of agents that have told me that they said, they got a call and somebody said, oh my God, I just have to work with you because of your magazine ads, I mean, unless there's some bizarre out of the ordinary type of magazine ads, but you don't typically see that.
Totally.
It's the same agent in the suit and tie or the button up, pantsuit, whatever it is, and there they are standing there with, hey, call us to buy, sell, or invest. And so with the videos, we give them a different look. We provide the value. It's all 100% value driven. And so, now somebody else answers the phone, it goes to a team member takes over 100%. I mean, I'm not involved in the transaction at all, except whenever the commission disbursement comes.
There you go.
And I'm on there. So, that's a business. The thing is that I don't have to be present.
Yep.
I've even proven that we can have team members make videos on the channel, and the videos are just as successful as the ones that I do.
So cool.
So we've implemented that, and that was all part of a test. You know, I modeled that off of Think Media. So Think Media YouTube channel, founded by Sean Cannell. Sean Cannell and Benji Travis wrote YouTube Secrets. That I looked at Think Media, and I looked at their channel, and he has, they put out a video every day, but he has, 4 or 5 team members that put out a video. And so that's really only 1 video per week per team member.
For real.
But you have 5, 6, 7 pieces of content going out every single week.
So sick.
And I just thought, man, what a great concept. What a great idea.
Yeah.
Now the thing is you've got to have, I think it doesn't matter. We've already had 2 team members leave that were in those videos, but it doesn't matter. Nobody really calls in for asking for them specifically. So, I'm not worried about that.
Yep.
But the fact is those videos, and then AJ, who's on our team, he's been the most consistent.
Okay.
Some of his videos have done extremely well, and he gets reach out. So it's a great benefit for him too, because he gets to tap into an established channel, brand, and therefore people do reach out and say, hey, I would love to talk to AJ.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing. And so, there's that opportunity is there. So we built the business is what we did. And that's what I made sure of this time, was the fact that I didn't get tied into. So going back to what you asked earlier was I comfortable on camera? And the thing is that I've done sales for a long time, and I love that.
Yeah.
I think what I had to get used to was selling to an inanimate object,
right?
Which is what you're doing. I mean, all video is communication and sales at scale.
Sure.
It sells at scale. So the thing is that as an agent, here's what happens. You live and die with every day. and you take somebody out. If I went to your neighborhood and said, hey,
Mhm.
could you show me around? Tell me a little bit about the neighborhood. You'd say, sure. You don't need a script. You don't need notes. You don't need anything like that. You could take me out, show me around, tell me
Mhm.
everything I needed to know about the neighborhood. But when we part ways that day, that conversation's dead.
Yeah.
It goes nowhere after that. It's done. So have that same conversation, just have it on
Mhm.
camera. And now you're giving, 100, 1,000, 10,000 people the opportunity to see that. And so
epic.
for me, it was just an adjustment because I was used to reading people, reading
Mhm.
facial expressions, reading body language,
Yeah.
them interrupting me, asking questions, overcoming concern, all that. That's what I was used to. So whenever you're talking to a camera and it's just staring right back at you, and you're like,
Right.
all right,
Hey.
so yeah, or can I get a smile?
Yeah,
Something,
yeah.
so
Little feedback.
So it was a little bit of adjustment, but that just comes with time. So
Totally.
I wasn't nervous or concerned about it. It was just I had to adapt on
Mhm.
how to basically have a one-sided conversation and see somebody sitting on the other side of the camera.
Totally.
And basically just as we're doing now, that's what I have to picture is that somebody's
Sure.
just right there across the table
Got
from
it.
me, and I'm having that. And so, but I also know how to transition. So if I need to stop or take a break or, pause or look at, think about the next point, I can do that. And I know all that's going to come together in
Mhm.
the editing process.
For sure. For sure.
So I also understand that aspect as well. When you first do that, you don't understand all of those components, which I think makes it a little awkward as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what it comes down to is, do you want to do it or not?
Exactly.
Because if you want to do it, then you'll do it again and again, and
Game on.
you'll work through all of
Yep.
that.
Yep. Well, I would love to keep you here all day, but I know you have other things to do. So I'm going to go through my lightning round with the Lady Boss. I never really gave you a heads up on this, but
Okay.
basically you need to answer these questions in, a sentence or
Okay.
less, and then we will wrap it up. So
I should answer them in a reel, right?
Exactly. All right. So if you wouldn't have started with what you got started with, what would you have gone into? If you wouldn't have got started in real estate, what else would you have done?
Oh.
You're just
well, if I wouldn't have, here's the thing. Remember I said I spent the summer trying to get into everything other than
else.
So I invested into 2 Amazon stores.
Yep.
That cost me about $150,000 cash.
No way.
And to this day, I've lost more money. I've probably lost another $50,000 over the last 2 years.
No way.
So that overall investment cost me about $200K cash.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I thought I was going to go into Amazon stores.
Yeah. Oh.
And so that bombed out. Second of all, I invested into wholesaling, courses, software,
I went hard into
farming,
that
all
for
that
a
stuff.
while.
And what I realized was that, I've got to be in the boiler room,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's what it comes down to. You've got to hustle. You've got to make phone calls. You got to do this and that. And I was just like, hey, that's super cool, but not something I wanted to do at this moment. So I'll tell you this. So if I here was my backup plan. So if I wouldn't have gotten into real estate and all else fails, I was going to move to Belize and
live your best life.
Yeah, because I have enough to get by in the Caribbean probably for a very long time, and I could probably sell tacos and beer on the beach and probably make a good living.
It's a good plan B.
Yeah. I have property in Belize and also you can sell real estate in Belize. And so I had a plan for that as well. Cause I thought, if I'm actually going to get into real estate, why not do it like in a cool spot?
Seriously, in paradise.
And that was the backup plan.
That's awesome.
I still went into real estate reluctantly.
Yeah.
But I told myself I was going to give it a year. I was like, I'm going to do this YouTube thing. I'm going to give it a year, no matter what, just buckle down, focus on it, and move forward on that. So
cool.
I did give myself a year, but I had the backup plan of just going to the Caribbean.
So good. So good. All right. People would be surprised that you spend so much time doing what?
Man, people would be surprised that I spend so much time doing probably meetings. I don't know. That's that's the thing. I would say people would be surprised that the least amount of time I spend on is video.
Wow.
I believe video is the true 4-hour work week.
Yeah.
If you want to break it down, because if you look at how much video I sit down to actively produce, it's probably less than 2 hours a week.
Wow.
And
amazing.
so, but it's built this entire business for us.
An ecosystem.
So one of the top questions people always ask me is, well, how much time do you spend making videos? They feel like they look at it like it's a 40-hour job,
Yeah.
you know, like a 40-hour work week. Like I'm sitting there 10 hours a day in front of a camera trying to make videos. I'm like, no, it's not. I make a video and I'm at a proficiency level now where I can do it in one take. So if I want to sit down and make a 15-minute video, I can do that in about 20 minutes, you know, with
incredible.
a little bit of rumbling around at the beginning, a little bit at the end. And then once I record that, I record it.
Sure.
You know, it's a done deal. So I would flip that and say the least amount of time I spend my time on is video.
Wow. That is really interesting. Chipotle or Chick-fil-A?
Chipotle.
Same. Your favorite way to spend downtime, which it doesn't sound like you have a lot of it, but.
What's funny is I was watching football yesterday and I was researching. I was doing some research.
Way
on
to
some
leverage. Way to leverage.
I was like, well, I'm going to read a couple of blogs, you know, get some information. So I think football season is probably where I get sucked in. But otherwise, I like to travel. I mean, I was on a travel tear until COVID hit.
For sure.
And so I went to 24 countries inside of 3 years.
Wow.
And I was on a very good path. And so I don't know if I'll get back to that. It was a lot, but you know, if I could, like every quarter, I think that's always something cool to do. But we've been traveling so much with
even
conferences. It's like, I mean, then, you know, we had a conference in Cabo. One was somewhere else nice. Next year, we've got a Cabo and a Hawaii conference.
Very fun. Yep.
So to me, it's like, you know, stay the weekend and you have a good time. So.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you absolutely addicted to?
The gym.
There you go. I love it.
And I would say it's more the routine. You know, it's like, it's just something that grounds my day, you know, as far as it's just something I have to start off with. If I don't do it in the morning, it's not going to get done. But at the same time, it grounds the day.
Yeah. Best stress reducer for sure. What are you reading right now?
I just finished up The Perennial Seller by Ryan Holiday.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, I like Ryan Holiday.
Yeah.
He's introduced me to a lot of books through his email list. So Ryan Holiday, he's written, I don't know, he might be on his 10th book now, but he always had a reading list. He reads, it seems like he reads 20 or 30 books a month, at least 20 books a month, you know? So he always puts out this monthly reading list and I would always find it. But he wrote The Perennial Seller, which is basically, it's the infinite game, you know, we were kind of talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And since we're about to release the book, I was just going through that because he talks about creating something. It's evergreen. The Perennial Seller is evergreen content is what it comes down to, which is what we talk about on YouTube as well.
Exactly.
Creating content that lives forever, that is relevant whenever somebody finds it on their own timeline. So he talks about basically creating works of art, books, you know, videos, whatever the case may be. He gives a lot of different examples of people that have done that.
Yeah, love that. Best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received. Man, it's been so much,
right?
You know, it's man, there's so many. I would say best piece of advice I've ever received. I mean, one would be it's not the best agent that wins, it's the best marketer. It's you know,
so true.
Some will, some won't. So what?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. Yes. I've preached that for years.
You
so
know,
good.
Those, you know, hurt people,
and healed people heal people.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Because I'm healed from several different things, and anytime I share that openly, so I always, you know, try to help people with other aspects in life as well. So yeah, I mean, it's I think it's the one-liners that kind of stick out sometimes, and you know, during 2020, I had a choice. The reason the Caribbean was my backup plan was because I thought about giving up. You know, I thought about being 41 and saying, "What's the point?" You know. This is the third time it seemed like every 5 years I had this huge reset back to zero. And I was just kind of like, what's the point? You know, why do I keep putting myself through this, building something up only to see it end after, you know, 5 years? And so, but what I realized was that I'm only in the first third of my life.
Right.
And so it was too soon to give up, even at 41.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, love that. Well, most embarrassing moment. These are left field questions, but it sometimes throws people off, but it's kind of fun to hear like some of the stories they maybe don't always share.
Yeah, most embarrassing moment. Wow. I don't know if the thing is that I don't really get embarrassed by a lot, but if
It's
we,
a good skill to have.
I, I've always just kind of like been, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's a good mindset.
maybe, but I didn't even care. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to think of the most embarrassing time was that probably like in fourth grade. I think I got food poisoning at or not high school, but at the school. And I walked into the principal's office or whatever to,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
they were back there talking, and I don't know, I wouldn't say anything. Anyways, once you have food poisoning, how
It just hits you.
It can come out of both ends. And,
Poor Levi.
and I literally like threw up over the desk, like,
Oh,
the
no.
countertop, like in the admin offices, but at the same time also went in my pants. So it was this really bad. It was the the double decker. And what I remember from that was they called my mom. And I just remember
Poor
them
guy.
opening up all the office doors in the school and everything, because just when you combine the two, the smell is not that great. So, but at the time when I think about it, I don't think I even really cared. I just I felt like so crappy. I was like,
Total
I
hell.
was just like, get me out of
Get
here.
me
Yeah,
out
but
of
it was
here.
luckily I do remember this. Like, we had a van.
Yeah.
We had a van, so I was able to stand up on the way home because
Oh, I'm glad that's behind you. All right. Last question before we do the last 3 questions. All right. Coffee or chocolate?
coffee.
Yeah, hands down. All right. What is your definition of a boss?
Oh, a prick.
All right. Well, okay. So let me backtrack and ask you this instead. If someone met you and said, "Hey, Levi, I want to become the boss of my own life and call the shots. What's
Yeah.
my first step?"
No excuse. No excuses. The thing is that I think victimhood is getting louder with social media.
Oh, true story.
And what's funny is that I got at the event last week where I was speaking at the conference. I opened it up at the end, so we had a session like 300 people in the room.
Sure.
And I opened it up at the end for a Q&A.
Sure.
This person rushed up to the front of the room.
Yeah.
To ask a question, and it was a complete hijack question. Like, they wanted to come after me and say, basically say that we didn't earn what we had done. And think about this. Yeah, this is, and it was funny because I sat there and they said, you're just copying other YouTubers and things like that. And I was like, well, last time I checked, YouTube's not exclusive to any one person, right? Yeah. I mean, if you're a real estate agent, or if they're a real estate agent, does that not allow you to be a real estate agent?
Right.
Is there, as soon as somebody becomes a real estate agent, it's locked down now. You can't do it. Somebody that learned cold calling, I said, so, from my standpoint, we learn from a lot of people. And the thing is that nobody more successful than you will come to break you down. But people want to look at the people that are up there and cry wolf. Or I have this reason or that reason, and this is what's holding me back. And the thing is that all the information is out there, whatever it is you want to do.
Exactly.
And has somebody done it? Likely. Yeah. But what did I say at the beginning? Who's at the top? What are they doing? How do they get there? How can you model it? Okay. Not copy them, but how can you model it? How can you adjust it to fit your personality? Because there's one thing to just, if I take your script and I read it word for word, or I actually found somebody that was copying my YouTube videos or just downloading my YouTube videos and posting them on their own channel. Like, that's a straight copy. Straight up. Okay. That's a straight copy. Now, if you want to watch my YouTube video and get ideas from it, or, copy my pros and cons and then give your pros and cons, but you give, maybe you pick the same topics, but you give your opinion. For sure. That's not copying. That to me, that is gaining inspiration from something we've done. I cannot stop you from making a Dallas pros and cons video, but don't say don't copy my word
Yeah.
for word, take it as, and don't download my video and
Yeah.
post it on your channel, which we got them to take it all down. But yeah, if you want to use my exact list of pros and my exact list of cons, but give your experience and your stories, go for that. I mean, I can't stop you from doing that, and I'm not going to complain. All I know that I'm going to do is I'm going to outwork you, you know? So if you want to come after me, that's fine. But the thing is that it's very easy to get sucked up into a victim mentality. And it's those people that don't refuse. And for me, you know, in 2020, I was in that position in my own head because you talked about a bad partnership. What I don't tell the story on because of time and everything else, it wasn't just COVID. I also had a partner in that business that completely screwed me.
I feel that.
And that's a whole another long story, but that's what really crushed me emotionally for a minute and made me think about giving up and what's the point. And as soon as I started to say, well, this person or that person or because of them, what I realized was that if I did quit and give up, then they really would win.
They have the power.
And so that's part of my fuel and motivation at that time was I had a chip on my shoulder and I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to try to beat them in their own industry. I'm just going to completely pivot and I'm going to become the best and I'm going to become even better in something else. And success is the best revenge.
Exactly.
You know?
Hands down.
So, you know, and I thought about all these things I wanted to do or say or everything like that. But you get to a point whenever you're just like, you know what, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. But it did fuel me for a long time.
Hands down.
But now
that was my first story.
now I'm just fueled by the gnats, you could say, that are coming at you and saying, hey, but you know, the thing is it's not, no one's ever come to me directly. It's always been, you know, someone else comes and says, hey, someone, you know, this person's saying this or that. And I'm just like, okay, you know, whatever. I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to get involved. I'm going to, you know, continue on my own path and go down that route. So
good. So good. Well, you have given us so much wisdom. Any last words of wisdom before you share how people can connect with you and how people can follow you?
I believe you can hyperlearn any subject in 60 days. You know, so again, figure out what type of person you are. Are you a people person? Are you a phone call person? Are you a reader and writer? Are you a video person? And once you figure that out, you know, like I said, if you're a phone call person, do you want to cold call? Do you want to call your sphere? Do you want to call your friends, your family? Do you want to call FSBOs, expireds in the real estate space? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Pick one of those lanes. Guess what? If you want to learn how to be the best expired listing caller person out there, there's a course out there. Somebody has a course, I promise you. There's YouTube videos on there. I promise you. There's books on it. I promise you. There's blogs on it. I promise you. And if you take the next 60 days, you can become the best expired listing phone call person on the planet. Because if you actually study it for 60 days, I believe you'll be 99.9% more proficient than any agent out there on that, you know?
Yeah.
So you can do that. We did it with YouTube. You know, if you want to be the best postcard marketer on the planet, trust me, there's books out there. There's postcard campaigns. There's probably agents that have their postcard campaigns posted for free somewhere that you could, you know, still, you know, whatever you want to do. And it doesn't have to be real estate. Yeah. You could be a wholesaler. You could be a financial advisor. I mean, the thing about, you can hyper learn any subject, I believe, right now in this day and age in 60 days. And what I mean hyper learn is, I mean, you go all in. You don't watch Netflix. Yeah. You know, any spare moment you have, you know, I'm not saying completely ditch the family, but any spare moment you have, there's no downtime. It's like, okay, that you have to be on some sort of mission. You know, you have to be motivated to achieve something. And if you put in that work now, I believe that's what's going to allow you to relax, you know, because let's say if you work weekends for 2 years, you gain a whole year. So would you rather half-ass it through the next 3 years, or would you rather buckle down for 2 years and then your third year is a lot more relaxed, you know? You know, so those are the things you got to ask yourself. Do you want to slowly get to where you want to go, or do you want to get there super fast and make the sacrifice up front? And I think that's what happens with, you know, you look at a lot of successful people right now, they're in maintenance or they're in maintenance mode, right? Yeah. So it's like in the gyms, like once you get into shape, it's a lot easier to maintain than it is to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on that note, Thank you from the bottom of my heart. This was so amazing. So why don't you share with my audience, where can they find you and where can they find your course? Because that is legit.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, if they go to passiveprospecting.com, it has everything on there. So passiveprospecting.com, they can sign up whenever they'll be notified when we release the book. So that's pretty cool. They can book a call on there too if they want to join our live call. And I always recommend people join our live call first, because that's where I do break down, our story, the journey, why YouTube is so important.
Yep.
What does that mean for you and your business? The results, how did we get there? And then, how can they do that as well? I'll teach them a few things too that they could take away from it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and you can learn all this stuff. I mean, you can go through it on YouTube. You can do exactly what we did, but you're going to have to piece it together.
Exactly.
And it's going to take a lot,
Pay for speed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people think the information in a course is the most important, or is the most important thing. But I also believe it's the time that it saves you.
Yeah. Success loves speed. So why not pay for it? It's so true. And I'm telling my team that all the time. Get damn good at what you do and go all in, and your life will never be the same.
Yep.
So, well, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Boss Life podcast. As I always tell you at the end, it is time for you to fire your fear, build your faith, and become the boss of your own life. Let's get after it, guys.